Hi everyone, Ashley Mailloux back here with another Pick 3 preview. There's some great racing coast to coast on Saturday. Now I wanted to focus in on Kentucky racing and specifically Turfway Park as their meet just got underway on Wednesday. And at the time that I'm recording this, there's just been 2 race days in the books, Wednesday and Thursday. And I feel like we've seen a little bit of everything. We've certainly seen some big prices, especially on the Thursday program. But in terms of the way that the track has played, I know a hot topic at Turfway Park is always the quote-unquote bias of the track. And yes, last year we saw, I remember vividly, a week span where if you went to the front, you stayed in front. I feel like the first 2 days have been quite fair. We've seen horses close from off of it. We've seen gate to wire winners, and we've seen some horses kind of sit mid-pack and make their run. So just some things to note. Highly recommend checking out the Friday program and even the first 6 on Saturday at Turfway Park, as we're going to focus in on the Pick 3 that starts in race number 7, which is the feature. It's the Boone County. It's 1.25 miles here for the 3-year-olds and upward, and it's a very interesting field. I feel like it's pretty wide open. Morning line, there's a couple horses that are a shorter price, but felt like there were even some bigger prices that made sense. When it came down to structuring a ticket for a Pick 3, I decided to go lighter here. I originally narrowed it down from 4 horses to 3 horses to 2. And when I kind of look at the horses that didn't make it, one of them was Fantastic Again, who draws the rail in here. Obviously, I think at his best, he could be a huge threat, but there's a lot of speed in here, and there's other speed in this field. And similar thought process was the other horse that I eliminated, which is the 11 in here, Prince of Power. I'll be honest, depending how the track's playing and depending who comes out of this race, if anyone, he may make it back into my ticket. I think I would definitely use him in a Pick 4 just because he should offer value, and I would hate to be out because of him. He's been in really tough spots, especially when you look at the races 2 and 3 back, and he has good synthetic form. Locally at Turfway, he has a win, but again, he has speed. He draws the outside. That's not the concern. It's the concern that Wesley Ward has the inside. He's got speed, and we'll see if anyone else goes. So ultimately, they both don't make the ticket, but the 6 and the 9 stay on. The 6 is Safe Trip Home, a horse that's been in very good form sort of all year round. We haven't seen him a ton, just 6 appearances, but 3 wins. I think his recent form has been stellar. He's been in kind of his top form of his career so far as a 5-year-old. It's been him and Desville in those last 2 sort of trading top 2 positions in those races, that being the Colonial Cup and the Grade 2 Sycamore. But for him, he's going to cut back in distance. I don't mind that. He's a horse that's been effective at 1 mile, and he's won at 1 mile at Turfway. So you look at that race, that sort of sticks out too back on February 8th. So a lot to like about the 6. And I think the same can be said about the number 9, Common Defense for Kenny McPeak. Julian Leparoux, who was born a big price winner on Thursday, comes out of the Red Smith. And you kind of look at that performance, and he went to the lead. He's typically not on the lead. He comes up a little bit short. I know they went slow early on, but I'm not actually going to hold that performance against him. I think, look at his form since the layoff. He has been tremendous this year, and he's taken those right steps forward. So I think he's intriguing. I think he gets probably a very good trip in here where we'll see on the cutback to 1.25 miles from the 1.5 miles and 1.5 3/8 races where he is. Maybe he'll be, I don't know, sitting 4th or 5th early on and then make his run. That's sort of what I envision for him, and he does appear to be training well. So just 6-9 here in the Boone County. We'll move to race number 8, a very tricky event. 6.5 furlongs here for the 3-year-olds and upward. It's an allowance optional claiming event. And this is where I decided to spread. And in the main body of the field, we have 12 runners. I'm going to use 4. We'll kick it off with the number 1, Cairo Caper, who I think ran very well last time out behind Litigation in that 5.5 furlong turf sprint at Churchill. I think in terms of trip, the inside draw probably works really well for him. Now the question will be, how does he fare getting back to a synthetic surface? I actually think he'll be just fine. To me, he's just been a little bit better of a horse as of late in terms of his numbers. I know his productivity was more as a 2-year-old, but I think he's coming in here off a really fine effort. So I'm going to use him in my ticket. I will also use the 4, Princetown, who maybe is the horse to beat off the effort 2 back. He comes up a little bit short, but I just feel like, the 5.5 furlong turf sprint, I'm not going to hold it against him. I think that's too short for him. I think he's more, 6.5, 7, and that's where he at least gets a little bit more ground here at the 6.5. Now he is coming out of a mile dirt race. He ran fine in there. He faded. This is sort of the distance that I want to see him at. I don't want to see him going too short or too long. I think this is going to be right, and he'll be trying Turfway Park in a synthetic surface for the first time. The 5, Chisler, will not. And I think that is key with this horse. I can't say that I love his recent performance because I really don't like his last 3, but you go back 4 and 5. I don't like them either, but you have to realize Coppola is extremely quick. Bear River, Nobles, he's just in really deep waters. I think when you sort of assess him prior to those races, there's a lot to like about his form. He was very good to kick off 2025. I'm hoping that maybe returning to Turfway Park, where he's had some success, that can help him. He ran a big second behind Nash here. He was able to win here by 4 1/4. We'll see what the tactics are, but I think he is better than he has shown us, and I'm willing to take a little bit of a gamble on him, especially at that morning line of 12-1. And then finally, the 6, it's Bourbon 30. Gotta love the name. Bourbon 30 is going to make the ticket here. It's a 4-year-old gelding trained by Jerry O'Dwyer, who's done a phenomenal job with him. A horse that's really put it together. They had to give him some time off after just 2 starts last year, and now as a 4-year-old, he's really running well, especially in those last 4. 3 of those races have been top 2 finishes. Love that he's shown some versatility. I'm actually excited to see him stretched back out. I know 5.5 has been really kind to him, and is actually the 6.5 at Kentucky Downs didn't work out for him, but Zach Kentucky Downs, again, not going to hold it against him. He is handy. We saw him a little bit closer to things last time out, 2 starts back. He rolled from sort of that back flight and just missed by a nose. I think, he's one to use here. Hopefully he'll be close to that morning line price. And worth noting, his 2 trips to the winner's circle, Luan Machado has been aboard. He's booked to ride again. Finally, we'll move to the final leg of the sequence. And if you know me, I love claiming horses, and I love the lower level claimers. We have a $5,000 claiming event to round out this sequence. It's 5.5 furlongs. And I think with these races, you can kind of get creative, or you take a hard stand. Maybe you only use 1 or 2. And I think what I ended up doing here, there's a little bit of creativity, but there's a little bit of a hard stand. I think if I were going to single, this would be the race to do it. And for me, it would likely be the number 10 in here pretty fast. I think he's the horse to beat. He's proven at Turfway Park. His form here late last year, early this year was very, very good. His form after that, a little bit so-so, but to me, it's really telling that he came into good form in his most recent effort. It was back in September, so he's had a little bit of a freshening, but he wasn't in for the tag, and he only missed by a length and a pretty quick turf sprint there at Horseshoe Indianapolis. So I feel like this is an aggressive move. You drop him in for 5. The purse money is still good, and Eric Foster off to a very good start. Had a couple of winners on the Wednesday program, the opening day here at Turfway Park. So I think Pretty Fast is the horse to beat. I kept on going to a horse that probably a little crazy, if I'm being honest, in a pick 3. Maybe a horse that you really want to look at more and say the exact of the Try the Super. That's the 12 Into the Sunrise, who I kept on looking at this horse, and I know he's winless, hasn't won since the summer of 2023 at Saratoga, but you look at some of his races, 3, 4, 5, 6 starts back. He's coming out of some interesting turf sprints where at Horseshoe Indianapolis in 2 of them, sub 44 halves, he's right kind of off the action, and he's hanging around for a share. I don't think they're obviously going to go that quick here, but he's got some early foot. And if he's got the outside draw in here, what are the chances they send him? I think it's pretty likely that he will be involved from the get-go and maybe can stick around for at least a piece, but maybe for a bigger piece. There's just something about him that I find really intriguing, and I wanted to throw him into my pick 3 sequence. It wasn't going to cost me a lot more, and if he happens to sneak into the ticket, it works out well. But as I mentioned, I'll be honest, he's a horse that I will be playing this race. I will play in exactas and tries, and I will have him covered in all 2 or all 3 positions of those wagers. So Into the Sunrise, maybe a crazy one, but he's going to make my pick 3 ticket. So we'll take a look at the full ticket here for races 7 through 9 this Saturday at Turfway Park in the Boone County. Just as a reminder, just go too deep in here. I'll use the 6 Safe Trip Home as well as the number 9 Common Defense. The spread race for me is the middle leg of the sequence, a 6.5 furlong sprint. I'll use the 1, 4, 5, and 6. The 5 is the biggest price, and to me the most intriguing if you can get kind of past his recent form and you have some faith that he can get back on track. I think he could add to this wager's value. And then finally, to round things out, the 10, in my opinion, looks like the horse to beat. 7-2 on the morning line. That's pretty fast, but I also wanted to use the 12 Into the Sunrise, maybe my crazy horse in this sequence. So a very affordable play with that 50-cent minimum, just an $8 wager, but really curious to get your thoughts. Who do you like this Saturday at Turfway Park? Are you going to play the pick 3, maybe a pick 4 or pick 5? Really curious to see who you like in this sequence and throughout the card. And as always, best of luck.